We're going to read a story. The story that we're going to read today is called Petunia. And I think that it's a good day to read the story because right now we have at our farms, we have a lot of farm animals that are being born about now in the spring. And it's such a beautiful day. And I love the word petunia. It makes me think of spring. So we're going to read Petunia today. Now, when we read Petunia, we're going to have a couple characters that I want you to pay attention to today, okay? The first character that we're going to talk about is Ida. So each of our characters are going to have a problem, and Petunia is going to help solve the problem. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But we're going to pay attention to what the problems are of each of the animals and what the solution is, and if the solution actually worked. Okay. So remember, solution is what fixes what the problem is. Usually, when you read stories, especially bigger stories, there's usually a problem that needs to be solved. And throughout the story, that problem usually gets solved. Not always, though. All right. So our first character is Ida. And then we're going to have another character named Straws. And then we have Cotton. And then, so we're going to pay attention to those four characters. Okay. So we're going to read Petunia by Roger Duvoisin. There
Petunia.
we go. And this is a library book. Remember, front cover. We've got the back cover. What's this called? The spine of the book, right?
Spine.
So this part is called the spine. It holds the book together. Just like we have a spine on our backs, the spine of the book holds the book together. Here we have spine labels. So spine labels tell us where the book is located in the library, and it tells us things like how difficult the book is. Okay. And it also gives us information, a lot of them, about how many AR points it's worth. All right. We have the title, we have the author. The author is the person who wrote the story. Okay. And this is who the illustrator is. Here we have what is called a title page. The title page tells us the title, of course, the author, and it usually tells us who made the book and where the book was made. Let me scoot this back so you can see a little better. So this book was published by a company called Dragonfly Books, and it was published in New York. All right. On the back of the title page, you have another special page, and let me show it to you. Now, it's not always every single time on the back of the title page, but it usually is. And here, this page is called the copyright page, and it gives you other information, such as when the book was published. Now, this book is an old book. It was published. I'm going to see where it says copyright. And then it says a little C with a circle around it. That's the copyright symbol. And then it says 1950. So this book was written 71 years ago.
Oh, you have your microphone on.
So Adela in Brooklyn, could you please mute yourself, honey? Okay. So that's a long time ago. 71 years ago, this book was actually written.
Play with that.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start reading Petunia. In the meadow, early one morning, Petunia, the silly goose, went strolling. She ate a bug here, clipped off a clover leaf there, and she picked at the dewdrops on the goldenrod leaves. Then, suddenly, she saw something she had never seen before in the meadow. What was it? Petunia stole closer and closer and sniffed at it from all sides. By goosey gander, she said, it does not smell like food for a goose, but I believe I've seen such a thing before. Yes, I have seen one under Bill's arm when he came out of school. It's a book. That's it, a book. Come to think of it, Just the other day, I heard Mr. Pumpkin telling Bill that books are very precious. He who owns books and loves them is wise. That is what he said. He who owns books and loves them is wise, repeated Petunia to herself. And she thought as hard as and long as she could. Well, then, she said at last, if I take this book with me and love it, I will be wise too, and no one will call me a silly goose ever again. So Petunia picked up the book and off she went with it. She slept with it. She swam with it. And knowing that she was so wise, Petunia also became proud and prouder and prouder, so proud that her neck stretched out several notches. It was King the rooster who first noticed the change in Petunia. He said, maybe Petunia is not so silly after all. She has a book, and she looks so wise that she must be so. And the other animals began to believe in Petunia's wisdom too. They asked her for advice and opinions, and Petunia was glad to help, even when she was not asked. Petunia grew still prouder, and her neck stretched out another notch. One day, Petunia heard Clover the cow say to King the rooster, I wonder what makes your comb so red, King, as red as the barn. It's my blood, said King. It's the color of my blood. Nonsense, said Clover. I have blood too, but I'm not a red cow. Your comb has been dipped in red barn paint. That's what makes it so red. You are both silly, of course, said Petunia. King, your comb was stuck on the farmer's so he can tell you from the hens and knows who lays eggs and who doesn't. Plastic comb, I'd say. And so King never again shook his proud comb in song for fear it might fall off. Poor, sad rooster. But Petunia had other things to do. At the chicken coop, Ida the hen was cackling excitedly among her chicks. Oh, Petunia, she said, my chicks and I have been for a walk in the woods, and I think I've lost some of them. The farmer says I had 9, but I can't count so very well. Please, wise Petunia, count my chicks to see if they're all here. Glad to help, said Petunia. Let's see. 3 chicks at the fountain, 3 chicks at the feeder, 3 about your legs. Now 3 times 3, that makes 6. 6? Asked Ida. 6 is less than 9. That's more than 9, not less, said Petunia. Lots more, my dear. More than 9? Good gracious, as if I hadn't enough worries with my own 9 chicks. And where do those other chicks come from? Oh dear, I'll never be happy again. Poor worried Ida. So what was Ida's problem? Brooklyn?
She thinks that she lost few of her animals.
Yeah, so what did Petunia do to help solve the problem? Adela?
You counted and you said 6, but that wasn't the right number. Because
Yep.
3 and 3 make 6, but another 3 and 3 make 9.
Very good. So she used multiplication to figure out how many chicks there were. But was she correct?
No.
So you're right. So Petunia thinks that she is correct, doesn't she, though?
Uh-huh.
Let's go ahead and continue with the story for a little bit. But Petunia had other things to do. In the meadow, she discovered part of Noisy, the dog, sticking out of a hole in the ground. Help, help, cried Noisy. I stuck my head in this rabbit hole and now it won't come out. Help. Glad to help, said Petunia. It's a good thing I know what hunters do to get stubborn animals out of holes in the ground. They smoke them out. Wait until I fetch some sticks and some matches. So wise Petunia built a fire in the other end of the hole and fanned it well with the book. Her trick worked nicely. Noisy, choking with smoke, jerked his head out of the hole and ran off howling with pain. His nose was singed with fire and his ears were cut and bruised. Poor moaning dog. So what was the problem with the dog? Brooklyn?
The dog said that there was the animal in a hole, and then Petunia said that when we give some sticks and matches so they could put it up until the dog looked in the hole, and then he was bruised and things, and then the dog ran somewhere.
Yeah, so, the dog did have a problem. However, Petunia's solution, it worked, but was it the best solution that could have been? Was it? Was the dog hurt?
No.
Really? Well, I think that maybe they could have tried a better way because I think the dog was singed, and his ears were cut and bruised. So it did hurt.
Yeah.
Right after I'll help you. So go ahead, Adela. What did you want to add?
And there could have been another way. She just could have just pulled and pulled and pulled.
That would have been a solution.
That wouldn't have been hurted. His nose wouldn't have been hurt.
By the way, never do that. Never, ever touch matches or try to get an animal out of a hole. Don't ever do that. That's not the best solution. So don't do that.
Don't just pull.
That actually will hurt the animal. So don't do that. Okay. So, but Petunia had other things to do. Besides the hedgeroo, she met Straw, the horse, who was in pain from a toothache. Petunia groaned, Straw, I'm dying. Surely with your wisdom you can stop this horrible pain. Glad to help, said Petunia. Open your mouth. Why, you poor Straw, all these teeth, no wonder you have a toothache. Let me look. Do I have teeth? Of course not. So I have no toothache. I'm going to stop with pain right now. I am going to pull all those teeth out. All of them? Let me get some pliers.
That might hurt.
Yeah, but Straw would not wait for the pliers. He was so afraid to lose his teeth that he never talked of his toothache to anyone again. He suffered in silence. Poor forlorn horse. So he had a problem. He had a toothache, and I'm not so sure Petunia's idea and solution was the best solution, right? So let's see what else happens. But Petunia had other things to do. Cotton, the kitten, went up the tree and could not come down. While he meowed and meowed, his friends called for Petunia. Glad to help, said Petunia. I know just what to do. Since none of you is tall enough to reach Cotton, all of you will do it together. Donkey on top of Clover, pig on top of donkey, and so on up. Simple. So donkey climbed on top of clover, pig on top of donkey, goat on top of pig, sheep on top of goat, piggy on top of sheepy, turkey on top of pig, duck on top of turkey, hen on top of duck. Suddenly Clover cried out, "Stop! My legs feel wobbly." And she sat. And Donkey and the rest fell into a heap. And Cotton was so scared that he fell on top of them. They were all full of bumps. "Well," said Petunia, "Cotton is down." So he was, poor bruised kitten. But Petunia had other things to do, getting prouder all the time. She felt her neck stretch further out. Should she be so proud? Yes? So she is solving a lot of problems, isn't she? But I think she probably could solve them a little better. Keep going. So now wander down the meadow where she found some other friends gathered around a box. "Ah, wise Petunia," they shouted. "We found this box in the ditch beside the road. Maybe it's food, Petunia. Please tell us what the writing on it says." Do you know what it says? Brooklyn?
It says dangerous.
Fireworks.
Yeah, dangerous
Danger.
fireworks.
Fireworks.
I'm
Glad
not
to help, said Petunia. Now let's see. Why, candies. That's what it says on the box. Yes, candies. You may eat them. Yes, of course. No sooner had Petunia given the word than 7 greedy mouths tore up the box and grabbed the candies out of it. And
ate them.
boom! What a sight the animals were. Some were burned, some were bruised. Straw still suffered in silence. Noisy still moaned. Ida still worried about her chicks. King still brooded over his comb. All the barnyard was in trouble, and all because of Petunia.
It was his fault.
Petunia's pride and wisdom had exploded with firecrackers. Her neck had shrunk back to its old size and was all bandaged up. She was the most downhearted of all, for she saw now that she was not a bit wise. But suddenly Petunia spied the book. The firecrackers had blown it open so that the pages showed. She had never seen them before. Now she saw that there was something written inside the book which she could not read. So she sat down and thought and thought and thought until at last she sighed. Now I understand. It was not enough to carry wisdom under my wing. I must put in my mind and in my heart, and to do that, I must learn to read.
Yeah.
Petunia was filled with joy. At once she began to work so that one day she could be truly wise. Then she would help make her friends happy. The end. So Petunia thought just by having the book, by possessing it, by holding it and carrying it around and showing other people it, that made her wise and that made her proud because she thought that she was wise. It wasn't until she realized that you just can't possess it. You have to work towards it and you have to actually learn. And when your mind gets filled with actual knowledge, and then you have the knowledge there to help other people.
Yeah.
Okay? So the moral is that you have to put the work in to actually get the wisdom, okay? So put the work in and do your best all the time, okay? Got it? Well, guys, I have to cut the class a little short today because I have a meeting in 3 minutes, all right? So you
Yeah.
guys have a great rest of the day. Get outside and play, I hope, a little bit.
I'm staying in.
All right. Well, that's okay. I'm going to stay in too.
I'm gonna
Bye, guys.
play outside.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.